Okay, picking up right where we left off. If you remember, last time we were working on Effect 2. We started Effect 2, but we weren't quite done with it yet. So we're back on Effect 2, and we're going to go to Image, Apply Image. Keep all of these settings on default as you see them right here. And then we're going to go to Filter, Blur, and Motion Blur. Now on this window, I can zoom in or out on this. I believe I can grab it too. So you want to get on a part of your text that you can see. And it's okay to play with the distance and the angle. Now the distance is going to make this get really kind of more blurry or fuzzy. Okay, so you're going to create a stronger effect if you play with that distance. If you move the distance out further, you can also move the angle, and that just kind of moves that around in a different way. Okay, so play with those as you want, but not too much with that distance, because we want, the main thing is we want everything to still be readable. And I'm going to keep mine on default, which is an angle of 0 and a distance of 10. So it just gives it a very subtle effect, and say OK. And now we're going to add a new adjustment layer. So go to your Layers panel, go to Create New Fill or Adjustment Layer icon, and we're going to add a gradient map. Now, right now, I'm going from blue to white, so I want to double click on that. And once again, I'm going to be changing my nodes here. And before we do that, I'm going to cancel that for a second, because I think it's a really good idea if we change our blending mode on this gradient map before we do this. That way you'll get a much better view or preview of how this is going to turn out, depending on the colors you choose. And the blending mode that we're going to eventually change this to is Vivid Light. So let's go ahead and change that to Vivid Light now. And you can see what a difference that made. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play with the colors on these two bottom nodes. And if you recall, my final product before was a more of a red glowy result, and so I used warm colors on this. So anywhere from like a pink color, and you can see it previewing over there. So you can see just the slightest little move of that really changes the effect that you get on this, which is why I wanted you to preview this on Vivid Light. And then I'm going to go to an orange color on this side. Okay, so these colors are going to make a huge difference. If we go back to, I'm going to go ahead and say OK and accept that right there. I can go back and change this at any time, by the way. But if I go back to my original one and I open up that gradient map, you can see I'm also going from a pink to an orange, but it's making a huge difference in my results. So just a slight change in those colors makes a huge change in your final product. So if I click back and forth, I can see that that pink was a lot brighter, and so was the orange. So let me work on that a little bit more. Not that this is a bad result, because that kind of looks cool too. It just looks a little bit different than what I had before. So I think before it was more like that for the pink, and the orange is probably, Okay, so that looks quite a bit different still, and that's okay, and I'm fine with this. I think it looks good. But this is, for those of you who really wanted to try out some new and different colors, this would be the step where you can really get in there and just play with these colors and see what you can come up with. So move it out of the way so that you can see the result, and just slide down this, and as you go, you can see a lot of different results happening with this. At this point, if you're going to be doing the extra credit, hopefully you've been working on removing a picture from the background, you're going to pull that in right now. So I do have my image, which is removed from the background. I have it set on black here so that I can see what these edges look like against a dark background, since that's what I have, but it is removed from the background. So I'm going to use my move tool to just grab that, move it in, and drop it down. And then I'm going to transform and move it into place. Please keep in mind that if your image is designed to be placed either on the bottom or on the side or on the top or wherever, keep that in mind. I wouldn't want to accept this image right here and have this flat cut off edge. Don't do that. So this image was cut off in this lower left hand corner, and so it needs to be placed in that lower left hand corner. Okay, and mine is coming over my letter a little bit. I can reduce the size of that if that bothers me. It doesn't really bother me though. I think it's fine. So I think I will have it just overlap just slightly like that. But it is on the top right now. Let me name it extra credit, and then I'm going to move it around and see what it looks like underneath each of these effects. So let me move it under the first effect, okay, and that gives that red hue, which nicely ties in with the Who's That Girl right there. But I can keep going. Okay, that deepens that a little bit. Under effect 1, gives her more of a pinkish purple look. Okay, and remember, you can turn these on and turn them off as you wish, and move them around as you wish. I think that in my original one, I had moved Who's That Girl up over at least one of these to keep that kind of brown look to it. But actually, I think I like it down here because then I think it ties in more with my image. So this one turned out much different than this one. Part of it is my M is smaller, my image is much bigger. But even just color-wise, I have much different result on my effects. But I still like it. I think it looks great. And I'm going to go ahead and save this. And when you're ready, you can turn this in. Please let me know if you need any help. And if it turns out you hate your colors, go back and change them. Go back to these gradient overlays. You can always get back into that, get into this, and you can change these colors. So keep in mind that this is not permanent, the things that you've done. One thing that would be permanent though is because we applied this effect, so some of the colors on here might be a little bit more permanent. All right, go ahead and save your work and submit.